All right, welcome everyone. So, years ago at the big major FedEx warehouse building, one day package after package after package is being processed. And all of a sudden, one day, every machine in the place just stops. And so, the way the FedEx is set up is the CEO's office overlooks the entire floor. And so, he's freaking out and panicking. And so, he calls in this engineer. He calls in the best engineer out there because he knows he needs to get this place up and running as soon as possible. So finally, after everyone's waiting around, all of a sudden the engineer finally shows up and he's assessing the situation. And so the engineer is going, like, checking everything out. He's walking to box after box after box on the wall. And finally he stumbles upon this one box and he opens the box up, pulls out a screwdriver and turns a half a screw. And every machine just comes back up and starts running. And so the CEO is completely relieved and he says, "Thank you so much." He's, "Come on up to my office." He goes, "What do I owe you?" And the engineer, he tells the guy, he goes, $10,000. And the CEO goes, $10,000? He goes, "That's crazy." He says, "I need you to itemize that for me." And so the engineer pulls out a pen, pulls out a paper and writes it down. Hands it over to the CEO and he reads it and it says, "Turn this screw $1. Knowing which screw to turn, $9,999. And so you're all supposed to laugh instead of you, thank you. But you're wondering, why the hell am I telling you a corny little story about turning a screw a half a turn? It's because metaphorically, I want to help you all do the same thing tonight. So people always ask, you come here, you do all this work to get better. Doing your adjustments, you're doing your therapies, doing your rehabs, you're spending time and energy, right? To do all these things to get you better, then what do? We go home, work, life, and we do stupid things that make ourselves worse, correct? And so we're playing this tug of war. And so I want to help you metaphorically do the same thing. Do little tiny tweaks in your life that can yield huge results and get us progress and results. Does that make sense? So over the years, people have always asked me, how do I lift? How do I carry? How do I sit at the computer? How do I sleep? Pillows? All those little things I feel are so important to help us. If we tweak ourselves just a little bit, are going to help us yield huge results. So all in favor of the next 30 minutes? Aye?
Aye.
Awesome. Curtis, you want to help me more? Well, okay, cool. And that's another thing. Participation. We participate, this thing's going to move a lot quicker. So before we get going, I think it's really important to just kind of set the stage on just quickly how the body actually works and operates. I spent 8 years of my life, and we're gonna review this in about 30 seconds. So we're also sitting here, our hearts are beating, lungs are breathing, stomach's digesting food, and all that stuff is happening because of one reason only. What is it? What's telling us what to do? Our brain, right? Everyone agree, our brain. So because the brain stops, what else stops? Everything, right? So brain, most important organ, which is encased in solid bone, right? Sends messages down our spinal cord over these nerves, encased in movable bone, right? Pretty important things we got going on here. So as we go through tonight, we're gonna primarily talk a lot about the nervous system and that function and how everything is controlled by that. And so to demonstrate, we're gonna use an example, but primarily the nervous system has 3 primary functions. How many? 3. Okay, so number 1, who remembers Christopher Reeves? Remember that? Who doesn't remember Christopher Reeves? You do.
No, I don't.
You don't?
No.
Dude, that's what's... The younger population has killed me.
I know him.
You do? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay. No? Dang. Okay, Christopher Reeves... This starts aging us right here. Holy cow. Christopher Reeves was Superman. Okay? And he fell off the horse and he broke the top bone in his neck. Okay, most people think he severed his spinal cord. If he severed it, what would happen? Dead, right? Christopher Reeves broke the top bone in his neck, and to demonstrate these 3 primary functions, we're going to use him for an example, okay? So he breaks the top bone is pushing into his spinal cord just a little bit. What happens to Christopher Reeves from here down? Paralyzed. All agree he's paralyzed, right? So to demonstrate this, so number one primary function of our nervous system is movement. It helps us move. Okay, there's nerves in our low back that go down our butt to our leg to our feet. There's a bundle of nerves that comes from our neck and our upper back that goes from our neck to our arms to our shoulders to our hands. Okay, he damaged above both of those areas, so he was a what plegic? Quadriplegic. He lost function to all four of those limbs because the brain couldn't get the message over here. If he damaged here, would have been better or worse for him? Better, right? You see, he only lost lower body function. He damaged above others. So number one primary function is movement. Now, what would happen to demonstrate number two if I were to tickle the bottom of his foot? What would happen? Could he feel it? No. So what's the second primary function of the nervous system? Feeling, sensation, sensory input, feeling input from the outside world. Okay, so of course we can think about sight, we can think about smell, sound, taste. Those are all sensory inputs. But in terms of unfortunately, why does a lot of people unfortunately end up here in this office? Pain, right? So that's one of the functions of our sensory input. But there's such a vast array of different other senses. So there's hot or cold, sharp, pressure, vibration, hot, cold, dampness. Those are all sensory inputs. Think about how brilliant that is. We can actually sense those things. Sensory inputs to the body. Lastly, the thing that a lot of people forget, what are these guys?
Organs.
All of our organs, right? So think about Chris Reeves, who, for those that remember, what were the last pictures of him? What do you have? Remember he had a trach, right, to help him breathe. He had a colostomy bag to make him have bowel movements into a bag. Did Christopher Reeves have a bad digestive tract? It was perfectly normal digestive tract. What did he lose? The nerve supply to tell that how to work, right? So we agree nervous is a pretty dang important part, right?
Yeah.
So, Curtis, how should we be from the back? Straight or should we be crooked like this? Straight, of course, right? So we need to be straight. From the side, we should have these three curves. Now, let's get this down. So we use Christopher Reeves as a big and easy example of how the nervous system functions. Let's take that down to how we can experience that in life. So let's take one of these nerves in the low back. So this nerve goes from the low back, it goes to the butt, to the leg, to the feet. If I pinch that nerve, could you potentially feel it? Yes, okay, so it may hurt. What's going to happen to the muscles? Are they going to get tighter or looser? We all agree it's going to get tighter. Okay? How brilliant is our body's innate and born protective mechanism to protect you and I from doing further damage. It's crazy, it's brilliant. But we get that pinched nerve, the muscle goes into full-blown spasm. A lot of the population will go where? They'll go to the doctor to get a muscle. Does it help you potentially feel better? Yes. But would we all agree that it potentially can open us up to doing further damage? 100% all day long. Last but not least, you have that same pinched nerve. Watch this. This nerve in the low back. Remember where we said it goes. Digestive organs, male and the female parts, bladder. Could it potentially change your digestive system? Change your urination frequency. The urge to maybe go more, right? Female menstrual cycles, could it change that? Heck yeah, okay? So, we look at the whole big picture and not just microscopically. And so Curtis helped us out and told us that we all need to be straight from the back and have these three curves from the side. Now that is normal, right? But we suffer, the average human, we suffer traumas. We suffer big traumas. So a car accident, trips and falls, sports injuries. We all agree we've done stupid stuff in our life, right? Whether on purpose or not on purpose. But then there's repetitive stresses that we suffer through life. So what are some repetitive things that we may do on a day in and day out basis that may affect our body? So typing. Would we all agree typing is going to change your body position a lot? What else? Lifting heavy boxes. Okay, I know you do that all day long. repeatedly, over, same thing all day. Maybe someone that's a cashier, same thing all day, right? A roofer. You want to see someone that's got the worst spine? Roofers, tile guys. They're bent over, twisted in the same direction all day, every day. Some of the worst spines I've ever seen. Okay? Occupationally, another one of the worst necks I've ever seen is oral surgeons. They got the worst necks. You know their disability insurance is the hardest disability insurance to get is an oral surgeon. Because their necks are jacked up all day in there. Okay, so those are some of those. How about what's another repetitive stress? Sleeping. If in the wrong position, we're going to work on it today, right? What else? Texting. Phones, right? Like terrible. So all those things can alter our spine or move it from the normal position, okay? So let's take this nerve for an example. So see this nerve, would we agree that it comes out of that hole uninterrupted, right? For the most part, okay? Now this is called the dry spine. It's a model. There's no muscles or tissues on this model. It's a straight model, right? But let's say we suffer a trauma, whether it's a sports injury or whether it's maybe it's the roofer or the tile person or the person that lifts boxes all day. Now that can rotate or move this bone from its normal position right here. Now help me out here. What happens when that bone rotates? Does that hole get larger or smaller? Okay. Gets smaller. That when one or more bones moves to their normal position, that is called, say it with me, a subluxation. That's when one or more bones moves from its normal position, puts pressure, stress on a nerve. Now we can go through the same scenario we went through. Okay, more or less pressure on the nerve. More. Could it potentially cause pain? Yes. What's going to happen to the muscle? Tighter or looser? Tighter. And then eventually it can change to organ function, right? So subluxation is the one thing we're going to be looking at. I'm glad we got through that because that's going to help us out quite a bit and to move into what we're going to talk about next. So a few things we need to know about subluxation is 90% of times we have no idea subluxation may even be present. And the reason is guess what percent of our nervous system deals with pain? 10% of our nervous system deals with pain. Like think about that. We would think like a heck of a lot more, right? But doesn't our nerves need to tell us how to breathe and digest food? And increase your stomach acid, or decrease it, or pump some blood, less blood, more blood. Like, how brilliant is that? Keep me balanced right now. Keep you sitting upright in a chair. Like, brilliant stuff. Our nervous system has to do all this stuff. So you can have a subluxation, and if only 10% of our nerves deal with pain, could you potentially have a subluxation and have no idea it's there? Right? Number 2, subluxation causes degeneration, arthritis. Okay? Most people say arthritis is due to what? Old age. Bullcrap, right? I have 70-year-olds with none and 25-year-olds with a pronounced amount. Age doesn't necessarily mean it's the cause. Granted, you get the same person, okay? They both get in a major whiplash at 20 years old. One person's 30, one person's 70. Which one's going to likely have more damage? Right, because it's a longer time and the damage can stay there, of course. Okay, but let's demonstrate it causes degeneration arthritis. Okay, let's take a look at these bones and these gray discs or spaces. When we're straight, would we agree that these bones or discs work pretty evenly, right? Okay, now, let's say someone has a curve in their spine. Which side is going to work quicker? The concave or the convex side? Concave. Would we all agree concave is going to work quicker?
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's not like there's more pressure on this side. So it's going to work quicker and faster. So which side is going to have arthritis? That side, right? So whenever I look at an x-ray, whenever we look at an x-ray, we can see right away, we know there's going to be quicker wear and tear if there's a curve on the, for example, concave side, or we're going to talk about in a second, if you have what's called FHP, forward head posture, that head comes forward. Watch these joint spaces. Are they larger or smaller? Smaller all the time, right? Number 3, subluxation happens to everybody, regardless of age. Little, big, old, young, everyone has it, right? What's our first trauma? Childbirth, right? Being born. Moms, right? Imagine I put you in a blue mailbox for 9 months and pulled you out by your head. Just got that? It's pretty traumatic, right? It's traumatic. It's our first trauma. Number 4, exercise, yoga, nutrition. Are those things healthy for us to do? Yeah, they're healthy for us to do. I have people come in, like this is how crazy this world is right now. I have people come in and their spine is like warped like this, right? It's warped. And she'll say, I do yoga and I eat broccoli every single day. Like, is that healthy? Yes. Is that ever going to take away a subluxation? No, right? So, the best way to locate and detect subluxation is by an x-ray. And the earlier we correct it, of course, the better. So one of the things I love to do is I love taking motion study x-rays. Like static x-rays standing still are cool, but putting your body in motion is really where it's at, because we get to see, like, we're not static human beings, right? We all move in different ways. So this the motion helps me assess how I and we can help you get your body moving more normal, right? And so here's a picture. I'm going to give you a really simple one that I can put up on the screen that's very visible. This is a pelvis. These are each of the low back bones. And you see when we bend left, we want to see the left joint close and right open. Bend right, the right close, left open. And you can see that person moves pretty dang good. So here's an example of a young lady came in. So we have her bend to the left. You can see all these joints close and open. Pretty cool, right? Pretty easy, straightforward. Now, this is an exaggerated case. Hers was really, really, really bad. But do you see how these close and open? But do you see these joints right here? They do not close on the right and open on the left. Just like pretty clear, right? These are what subluxations look like, where you cannot close and open on the side it's supposed to. Am I confusing anyone? Okay, so you can also see how her spine is still angled to the left there. Like that one is in bad shape. So I wanted to put one up there, and this shows how the spine can become affected with a subluxation. Now, those nerves down through here on the lower right-hand side, could she be having some pain? She could, but it doesn't have to be. Maybe she didn't have the pain, and also one day she picked up like a 20-pound box and it was like over, or she picked up a newspaper, boom, threw her whole entire spine out. So let's talk about FHP, forward head posture. FHP, forward head posture, refers to this 10 to 12 pound bowling ball we have up here. Okay? Now, great research study shows that for every inch forward our head moves, our head weighs 10 more pounds. So think about it. Is it easy to carry this dumbbell here or out here? Closer, right? Closer to the center of gravity. In physics, this is called a long lever arm. The longer a load comes away from the fulcrum, the heavier it feels. Same load, just torqued differently. And so that the further it's coming away from our center of gravity. So, same thing with our head. So this 10, 12 pound bowling ball feels 10 more pounds for every inch forward our head moves. That's quite a bit, would we all agree? So think about this, okay, FHP. Our head moves forward. Do these spaces get larger or smaller? We already said it. Head comes forward, watch. Spaces get bigger or smaller. They get way quicker or slower? Quicker, right? So that's called arthritis, degeneration. I can show me an x-ray if someone had forward head posture for 10 plus years, they will have arthritis. Wow. For those that are going to be watching from home, the guy behind the camera pushed it off the table. Good. Okay. Head comes forward. Spaces get smaller. Next. If this is your muscles, what happens to the muscles? Tighter, looser? Tighter. We all agree, right? Gets a lot tighter. Okay, so forward head posture. So ultimately, whether you have symptoms or no symptoms, and you present with forward head posture, we will want to make sure that we can start working on getting that head back over the shoulders. So let's go ahead and tackle some of the areas we spend the most of our time. So we're going to talk, number one of them is going to be either at the computer or desk or on our phones, our iPads, laptops, etc. So forward head posture, head comes forward. This is what's called an upper cross syndrome. We're not going to necessarily get into the exact details of this part of this, but who's ever seen this picture in terms of ergonomics? Right? This is called the 90-90-90 rule. This is put out by OSHA. Who trusts OSHA? They're corrupt, right? They're freaking corrupt. They sleep in the bed with the enemy. Okay, so 90-90-90 rule. So let's talk about some of the things that we can do to help set our computers up. And so to demonstrate, I want to help you guys all understand a little bit better how ergonomics could impact us in a negative fashion. So play along with me for a second. So just go ahead and put your palms on your lap. So what I want you to do is, if you're right-handed, I want you to take your right hand and I want you to feel your left muscle. Just pick it up, pinch it between your fingers. Feel how much or how little tension there is. Without removing your hand, I want you to pretend you're typing on a keyboard. What happened to that muscle? Did that muscle get tighter or looser?
Tighter.
Would we all agree that muscle got tighter? Curtis, okay. The muscle gets tighter. So I want you to picture this. So what's the one thing that we did? What's the one thing we changed? We brought our arm from a supported position to an unsupported position. What has to occur when our arm is unsupported? That muscle has to do what? It has to work, has to tighten, has to contract. That's the only way we can do that. Now what happens if we got to carry this heavy darn arm all day long in this position? It's going to torque us, right? It's going to put a lot of tension there. So to give you a visual, remember, we've all driven over the Q Bridge in New Haven, right? Or Pearl Harbor Bridge, right? So that bridge, my uncle was the head engineer of the entire project. So I was fascinated with this bridge as it was being built. And so I would be a total nerd and ask him all these crazy questions about this bridge and how brilliant it was being designed. And so, but if we think of our spine as that big pillar right in the middle, is it okay if I turn this thing off? So think about that big pillar right in the middle. And picture those big wires that hold the bridge up, right? You know what I'm talking about? And so picture those wires as the same wires that go from our upper part of our neck into our shoulder. So we just demonstrated that if our typing out here, those muscles have to contract. Instead of holding the bridge up, these muscles are holding our shoulders up. So when we set up our computers, anytime you see this, our body, our arms are not being supported, it's going to put a tremendous amount of stress and strain on our shoulders. So let's go through a bunch of different options on how we set our computers up. And so this is one of our workstations in the back. This is where one of the ladies that she sits at the computer all day. So we had to make this. I had to practice what I preach, so I had to set it up pretty good. So there's a lot of options here. Okay, so one of the things I love is having an L-shaped desk. Why is an L-shaped desk pretty cool? Yeah, right. So you scooch right in there, and boom, there's a place for your elbows, right? Fully supported right there. So that's pretty cool. Maybe we don't have access to an L-shaped desk. Maybe we have a flat edge desk. And so what do we have to do with our arms? Like, we can't do this, so we got to flare them a little bit, right? So we scoot ourselves right in, get the desk touching our chest, flare those elbows out. Now, there's a reason why they've made these curved keyboards. This has a slight curve. You've also seen the ones with the big curve, right? They're for a reason. And so I'm not going to get into the study. There's a great study that shows the pressure that ends up in the carpal canal. So when our wrist, back of our wrist is neutral, that is the least pressure in our carpal canal. More, even more, most. What does this position of our wrist look like? Typing. Like when you go into extension and deviation this way, exponentially, like you just feel if you do it, exponentially more pressure in there. Eventually we're going to develop what? Carpal tunnel syndrome. That's the reason why they made the curved keyboard, so we don't have to deviate this way. We can keep our hands in a neutral position. Also, the reason why they made wrist guards. So the wrist guard goes here and allows us to either type or use the mouse, and we stay in a very neutral position. So if you're at the computer a lot, grab one of those either mouse pads or computer pads, keyboards with the guards to keep your wrist in a neutral position. It's really going to save you a boatload. So that's another thing. Dual monitors are really huge. Who uses a dual monitor? You do? Yeah, I mean, it's so cool. It's an easy setting on the like you literally plug a second monitor into the computer, and Windows does most of the work for you. Allows you to have a lot more stuff on that screen. Pretty cool. The other thing I like is like one of these study easels. They're like $10-12 for a study easel. So if you're a person that may need to transcribe stuff from paper to a computer, I had an attorney, and she thought it was the most brilliant idea when I expressed to her one of these little easels, because she was doing this all day. She'd have her document, and then she would go up, and she was just yanking on her neck all day, every day, just because she had to transcribe that all the time. So really cool, easy tool. Throw that up there on the on a study easel. What else?
I have a question.
Yes.
For the carpal tunnel,
Yeah.
I have been told I have it, but I've noticed when I tilt my head to the left, I have the numbness goes away.
So, this is a great question. Okay, with everything we just learned today, so we can, let's help her. How cool is this? Okay, so, if she only bends her head and neck, what are we affecting? Are we affecting the nerve in the carpal? Like, so let's talk. When you have carpal tunnel syndrome, where does the nerve get pinched? Here, 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 here. Here, right? That's carpal tunnel syndrome. Now, she's not moving there. She says when she moves her neck, it changes the numbness. So who thinks she really has carpal tunnel syndrome? Where does it come from, most likely? More likely than not the neck. Like, brilliant, right? Easy. She didn't touch the carpal canal, she just moves her neck, changes. That's a surefire way to tell if it's coming from here or here. And sometimes the more feedback we get like this, the easier it is to decipher. So pretty cool. We just made a nice discovery. Oh, one last thing, sorry. Choosing the right chair. Choosing the right chair is super important. Preferably when if you're going to choose an ergonomic chair, you want one with adjustable armrest. That's key right there, especially if you're going to be there for a long time. Now, why do we want to choose the one with our adjustable armrest? Because we're all different shapes and sizes, right? So I got longer arms than you have, and we're going to be more similar. We're going to be different. So we want to be able to set the armrest about 1 inch, 2 inches higher than our elbow when our elbow is bent at 90 degrees. Then we can take our arm and place it up upon it, and it's taking the stress and strain off of this. Does that make sense? So we set the height of our armrest first, then set the height of the chair after that, so the armrest now become flush with the desk. People always ask, like, where's a good place that I can get some office furniture? You can of course buy it new, but I think we're way overspending if we're getting it new. There's a great place, United Office Furniture in Hamden. It's actually the mom of a patient of ours. They take high-end office furniture and refurbish it. It's like brand new. That's where we got this one. It's like a $1,200 chair we got for like $300. It's like same thing you're going to buy a chair at Staples for, and you just get a high-end nice chair. So she's one of us. So she's good people. Okay.
So I had a question.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
on your chair, would you not want a back that could be adjusted so it doesn't automatically tilt back, or?
And that's a dang trick question because it can really be. I mean, a lot of it depends on your versus our makeups, and so that may be individual. Does someone have too much curve down here? Does someone have too little? The other thing, like for example, like at night, like when I'm just kind of chill, like I've been doing a lot of. I have licenses in multiple states, and of course my license credits in Florida didn't transfer over to Connecticut, or my Connecticut ones didn't transfer my Florida license. So I'm sitting there hours on end doing Florida continuing education credits, and so I'm kicking my chair back, I'm kicking my feet up on my desk, so it's like there's times and places it's needed. So, but it's more on an individual basis. All right, let's do this. Let's stretch it out. So I'm going to give you some tools that you can use day in, day out. When you're sitting at the computer, you start feeling yourself start to do this. Let's talk about some things that we can do to reverse that. So everyone sit up nice and tall in your chair. So let's lock our elbows at our sides right here, arms at 90 degrees. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do what's called Ruger's posture relief. You feel yourself doing this, we're going to change it. So palms up, you're going to go thumbs back, not like this. We want to keep your elbows straight. And yeah, you hit the person next to you, go like this, squeeze them out. And back. Elbows stay fixed. Do a thumbs up behind you. I know you got that thing right there. Good. Who feels between the shoulder blades squeeze? Everyone?
Yeah.
No? Okay. Get on the front of the chair. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. Keep those elbows fixed. Good. Now, try not to do this. That's not where we're going to get it. We're going to get it if we try to touch. Pretend we're going to try to touch the window behind you with the tip of your thumbs. Okay, we'll work on that later. So that's what we're going to do. So, you guys got it? Good. Boom. We're going to squeeze. 3, 2, 1. Relax. Sternum up when we do it. Squeeze back. 3, 2, 1. Good. So now, what we're doing here is we're just waking up those muscles between our shoulders. We start to get lazy and start to come this way. We do that. We squeeze really hard for like 3 seconds. We're going to start waking those up. It's going to bring our shoulder blades back and together. Now let's move into a levator scapula stretch. So let's do... Okay, I want you to grab the underside of the chair with your left hand. Okay, come off the back of your chair so you're not like leaning on it. What I want you to do is take your head and bring your nose into your right armpit and pull over. Pull over and down. You should feel a stretch in the back of your left side of your neck. Good. Now, without removing your hand, just go right ear to the right shoulder. Now what's going to happen when we do that and you're using this arm for traction to pull your shoulder down, you should feel that stretch shifts more from the back of the neck to the side of the neck. Who felt that? Good. Now what you're going to do without moving, you're just going to lift up to the ceiling. You're going to pull your forehead back and you're going to feel that that stretch shifts to the front of the neck on the left. Everyone felt that? I'm slightly OCD, so we got to match it on the other side. This profession does it to us, right? Okay, nose into your left armpit, left ear to left shoulder, straight ahead. Chin up, stretch that front of the neck. Cool. Pretty cool, right? It's so easy, but good. Okay, hamstring, everyone stand up. You do this a couple ways. We're going to do it just an easy way where you don't need any tools. You can, of course, use a table or a chair. But let's just do this. You're going to put your right heel on the ground, toes up towards you. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do a proper stretch. We're not going to bend at the low back. I just want you to keep your sternum up and stick your ass straight backwards. That's it. And you're pulling like your heel into the ground. Who feels that amazing stretch right there? That's all you need. It's nothing magical. Just get in the right position. Switch legs. Okay, left heel on the ground, toes up and towards you. Good. Sternum up and stick your butt straight back. It's not a huge movement, it's very tiny. You see everyone trying to like do this craziest stretch. It doesn't need to be a lot. Now we're gonna switch right to the calves. So you can use that aerobic bench right there. Everyone else is right by some molding. You can use the molding on the wall. Curtis, you can use the chair, the desk over here. What we want to do, you can use this right over here, this molding. What we're going to do is you're going to put your toes up on something. Whether it's the desk, whether it's the door, don't worry. You can scratch it up. It's fine. Okay, everyone has their toes up. What you're going to do is you're going to keep your sternum up. You're just going to bring your torso closer to the wall. Feel a nice, beautiful stretch. Try to get those toes up a little bit more. There you go, buddy. Yeah, just come closer to the wall. Yep. You feel a great stretch. Does anyone not feel that stretch? Okay, here's what we're going to do. Don't move your foot. Don't move your foot. You're going to take your knee, and now without moving anything, just bring your knee closer to the wall. Just a little bit. Just bend it. Just bend it a little bit.
Nope.
So when you do that, you should feel that the stretch shifts just slightly into a different muscle group. Who felt that? Everybody? Good. Now what happens is the reason is there's two different layers of muscle groups in the calves. And one is designed to help flex the feet when we're in a straight position. The other one when our knees are bent. So they cross the joint differently. So let's do the opposite leg, whatever leg you didn't do yet. Without moving that leg, just bend that knee a little bit closer. I know it feels really tough. It's a great, great stretch. Cool. Last one, let's go forearms. So I want you to take your right palm, put it up. Take your fingers, pull them back towards you. Great one to do with the computer right here. Okay, you should feel a nice stretch right here. So I was fascinated when I started learning about these muscles, right? These muscles are brilliant. All the muscles on this side do this. There's two layers of muscles. One layer goes to this part of the fingers and they pull our fingers this way. The other layer goes right to our fingertips and does this. How brilliant, right? So we want to stretch both of those because all we're doing when we're typing the computer. So switch hands. And what we can do is you can rotate in and out. And what we're going to get is the supinator and the pronator muscles as well. Those are the muscles that either turn our palm up, it's called supination, like we're holding a cup of soup, or pronation, going face down. Same thing. Now let's go right palm down, pull the back of your hand towards you, and you feel the stretch shifted to the opposite side. These are the muscles, when they shorten, they bring our wrist and our fingers back. Pretty brilliant. Switch. And again, you do the same thing. You rotate in and out, stretching those muscles out. How cool is that? Have a seat. Now, what happens is I go over some stretches and everyone says, I forgot them all. So what we did is we made an awesome handout. I like to think is one of the cooler handouts out there. What we have is we have highlighted, because everyone always asks, where should I feel this stretch? So we have them highlighted exactly where you should feel each stretch. We will hand these out at the end. I wait to the end because we all have our nose in them right now, right? But they're all, put these, make a couple copies of this, put one at your desk or one at home, give them to friends. Awesome stretches, and it shows you exactly where you're supposed to feel it, so there's no guesswork. Sleeping, we all agree we're at the computer for 6, 7, 8 hours, and then we're sleeping for 6, 7, 8 hours. So I think this is a very important one that we should nail down. So sleeping, a few things we should know. Number one, we already said we should obviously be straight from the back and have these 3 curves from the side. So guess what? When we're sleeping, we don't have to sleep like a mummy, but we have to at least try to maintain some of that position. So when we're on our back, we want to try to support that proper curve of the neck. What do you think? What do most of us do, you think? Yeah, we flex forward 100%. Using too much pillow behind that head, flexing forward. Not only in bed, where else do we do that? The couch, we're watching the tube. Turn the freaking news off. You'll save your brain and or life, I think, at this point. It's still life. So turn the freaking news off, right? But also, like we do with the phone, we have our phone here, too much pillow here. So it puts a tremendous amount of stress doing the exact opposite of what our body is trying to do, right? If we're a side sleeper, try to have our nose, chin, and chest lined up, right? Nose, chin, sternum lined up. If we're on our side, we're using too much pillow or too little pillow. Guess what? It's going to torque this neck. If you have a low back condition, pillow underneath the knees takes a lot of tension off of these nerve roots. Especially if you and I have talked and you're one of the ones that has too much curve. Guess what? Putting a pillow underneath takes a lot of that stress off that low back. Putting it underneath the knees. If you're a side sleeper, putting a pillow between your knees is really helpful. The reason is because it prevents that leg from flopping over. That leg flops over, what's going to happen? It's going to torque this. Put some stress on that nerve root. Make sense? No belly sleeping. Why is belly sleeping no bueno? What?
Your neck is all.
Yeah, you got two choices to turn your neck, right? You can turn it left or turn it right. Watch what happens when you turn it left all night. It's going to compress one side and elongate the other side. Now picture this. For those that have slept on their belly before, they typically say, oh my God, I'm more comfortable. That's the only way I can fall asleep. Okay, now picture you come in with a neck issue and you go sleep like that for 6, 7, 8 hours. You come get adjusted. You do your exercises, and then you go back home and you sleep like that for 6, 7, 8 hours. Which one's going to win? Sleep, right? The tug of war, the sleep is going to win. Right? We're going to wonder why the heck we get adjusted, we do our rehabs, and we're not sticking and holding ourselves. Really freaking important. This is one time this woman comes in. She says, I'm like trying to figure out, I'm like, I can't get her to hold. I couldn't figure it out. So finally I said how do you sleep? She goes, what do you mean? I said, like, in what position? She goes, you're not changing me. I've been sleeping like that for 40 years. I've been sleeping on my belly, and you're not changing me now. So I'm like, I said, did you know that sleeping on your belly makes your belly go bigger? She goes, that's it. I'm not doing that anymore. You get, I mean, that's the reality, guys. But I was, of course, joking. But I'll do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. So be very cautious sleeping on your belly. Arm position. So let's think about this. So arm position, we have a bundle of 5 nerves that comes out here and goes underneath our collarbone and underneath our chest muscle. It's called the brachial plexus. So those nerves come underneath here, they continue, and once they get into our arm, they redistribute, and they go all over our arm, and they control every single part of our arm and hand. Sensation, muscles, right? So what happens if I'm sleeping and I have my arm like this, and this is like, let's say this is supposed to be like a garden hose or a river running. What happens if I do this to it? Is it going to get kinked? Would we all agree?
Yeah.
So if you ever wake up with numbness, tingling, burning into the hands or the fingers, check our arm position or our neck position. So you're going to notice most likely people have numbness or tingling into certain areas. Usually it's going to be one of these areas. 1, 2, or 3 could happen here, but it's going to be less likely. So when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're numb, so we got a culprit here. It's going to be here. I'll ask, the reason I'm saying this is because oftentimes I'll ask people and they'll say, oh, my whole arm. Very rarely is it the whole arm. But when you think about it and you wake up, it's either going to be here, here, here. So get very specific. If you have trouble, if you wake up like that, check your arm position, check your neck position, and tweak it. You do that It should go away. If you can't and it repeatedly happens, let us know. We'll walk you through it. People ask often about pillows. Here's a great one. It's called a Tricor pillow. There's a head cradle. If you're a back sleeper, your head goes in the middle. And this supports your neck. If you're a side sleeper, these two wings support from shoulder, neck to head. So really cool, easy pillow, relatively cheap. It's the pillow that I can find most people, they purchase it, they like it. Before you purchase it, if you want to try it, I do have this one out here. Just a great pillow. It's not the only one. I have this, and then I also have a down pillow. And I don't know what makes me switch off and on, but like when I'm on my back, I love just scrunching that down pillow nice and low so my head actually rests over like that. If we prescribe these, we have ones for the neck, low back, mid back, pelvis. If we have these, what's called Denarolls, these are designed to support and hold the position that we put your neck or your body in. So this one in particular, this happens to be a neck one. And so if you look, how cool, our neck, we want to get this curve back. Well, guess what? This is designed specifically to remold and reshape the curve of that neck. And so what these do is these work more on the ligamentous structure because, for example, in our neck, that ligaments will actually go into a shortened state. So as we start to change you and start to remodel that spine post-adjustment, I want to set and hold that spine here to elongate that ligament to allow you to really start to keep that head over the shoulder. So if we prescribe it to you, it's for a purpose. So you walk into a bar, you walk up to the bar. Where's the first place that your foot goes? Who has bar stools in their kitchen? Okay, you have a bar stool in your kitchen. You walk up. You're talking to, someone in your house, and you go up to the bar stool. Where does your foot automatically go? There's a reason for it. Why? Feels good, right?
Support.
So, I brought this up in a workshop, and someone said, "Did you know that is why footrests were put on bars? To make you feel better. Because if you feel better and you're in a bar, what are you going to do? You're going to stay longer or shorter? Longer, right? So, moral of the story is, utilizing a footrest is really cool at home. So, it could be 6, 8, 12-ish inches. There's no magic formula. Long story short is when you put a little stool, what happens is it allows your pelvis to come curled underneath a little bit and allows that center of gravity to shift back over your pelvis. Now imagine you're cooking, you're folding laundry, you're washing dishes. Would we all agree what happens to torso comes forward? What happens to the muscle? Tighter, looser? Tighter. What happens to the jelly? Does it go? It's squished, right? So now we do this. Put our footrest up here. It takes a lot of stress off that low back. Even just doing this for it already feels better. Just taking that stress off. Super helpful. So at home, it could be anything. It could be a little stool. It could be a wooden stool. It could be 6, 8, 10, 12 inches high. Now maybe you don't have maybe you're cooking. Open up the cabinet underneath the sink. Throw your foot inside the cabinet on that little sill right there, and you can rest your torso right up against the countertop. Great way to take a lot of stress off it. Once some people actually discover that, they're like, oh wow, like what a cool, simple tool. Like think about nurses. Any nurses in here? If there's ever a nurse in here, they'll always say the nurses' stations. All the nurses' stations have they all have a footrest on them. Why? Because they're on their feet rolling around these carts all day, and so they put it's just natural. Standing desk, a good standing desk will actually have a footrest on like All right, so play along with me. This one's super important right here. So come to the front of the chair, and I want you to go into this position. Just get into like a slouchy position, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to use this same position in terms of how we stand, to how we lift the box, to how we position ourselves when we're about to do something strenuous. So we can feel how crappy that feels, right? And so now in a second, we're going to go into this position. When we do that, I want you to get used to something, putting yourself in a certain position. So you're going to pretend there's a laser beam that points right off the center of your chest. And what I want you to do is I want you to take your chest or your sternum and lift it up so you point that laser beam into this top corner of the wall right here, where the wall meets the ceiling. Good. Sternum up and go back and slouch. Sternum up, point it up here. Now, did everyone feel that low back contract just a little bit? Everyone felt that? Now, what that's going to allow us to do is when you get, just like you are right there, you're going to get that position, those feet and heels right underneath your torso. Sternum up. Now we're in the proper position to start to lift or carry. Now, there's a reason, right? So we want to lock this position with that slight arch right here where you feel that contraction and lock it. And we want to be able to hinge at our hips and not hinge at our low back. Remember, we've all heard, lift with your legs and not your back. Okay? What the hell does that mean? Like, we got to put some reality to that. So we want to literally lock this low back in this position. Boom, chest up. And then we can hinge at our hips and squat and lift and carry and rotate, because that's going to save and protect this low back from doing further damage. How? Okay, picture these jelly spaces. This is the front of the body. This is the back of the body. This is a jelly space. Picture this is like a jelly donut or a water balloon. In the back side here is where the nerve comes from. Now, if I take a water balloon and I put pressure on the front side of the water balloon, where's it going to pop?
The other side.
In the back, right? The opposite side of where you squeeze it. So, if you bend at the back and put all the pressure on the front, where is it going to squirt?
Out the back.
Out the back, and what is in the back? The nerve. We've all heard of a slip disc, herniated disc, bulge disc. That is what happens when someone nonchalantly lifts and bends over and pulls with the low back, herniates that disc in the back. This is how we're going to save ourselves. So you're picking something up, think about that position, lock that body position. When else are we more susceptible to doing damage? Morning, afternoon, or evening? Those that said morning are correct. So the reason is because what's easier to pop, a full water balloon or a partially inflated water balloon? Full, right? There's more tension on there. Same thing that happens in our body. Okay? All these discs don't have a direct blood or nutrient supply. They only receive their nourishment by motion or changes in pressures. So who's heard we're more taller in the morning? Who's heard that we're taller in the morning than the evening? Not a lot, but a little bit. All of us, we're all taller in the morning than evening. Okay, the reason is we have 24 discs, or jelly spaces. And in the middle of the night, each one of these discs swell with a little bit of fluid. We have 24 of them that have more fluid. So we wake up in the morning, we're taller. As gravity sets in, pushes that fluid out, we get shorter. Morning time, we have full discs, filled with fluid. We're more susceptible because those discs are not warmed up, right? So someone that has that pressure in the morning when they first wake up, what happens once you start to move? It starts to open up and loosen up. You're getting some of that fluid out of those jelly spaces. Especially right now, morning time, you wake up to a fresh snow. Even more so, rotational movements place these discs in a vulnerable state. And it's the way they're made up. We won't get into it, but you get the point. Foam roll, we got more handouts for this. All right, this is good.
I was actually asking, is there a way to lift with your back if you can't use your legs that's safer for you? Like if you're leaned over something and you can't lift with your legs and you're picking up something heavy, is there a way that you can?
Give me examples another time.
Like if you're leaning, alright, well, I was saying, like if you're leaning over a car.
Oh, you got. I
Pick
mean,
something
you're
up.
you're a whole different ballgame.
Okay, never mind.
Your day in and day out is going to be very different than a lot of people's. I mean, we'll talk about that at another time if you don't mind.
Yep.
So one day my kid, she's like, Dad, you gotta check this out. She's like, can we do this? Who did stupid shit like that in their life? All of us, right? Like, so we've all done stupid stuff. So my kid shows me that and I'm dying laughing. Like that's the funniest thing in the world. Then all of a sudden the reality sets in. It's like, oh crap, we did stupid stuff like that too. Right? And maybe like, I just had this like moment, I'm like, maybe something that we're suffering with, or was something like that, a sports injury, accident, trip and fall, bike fall, something, maybe something we did 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago may be affecting us today. It's not that mom or dad didn't, they purposely neglected us. They just didn't maybe not have known any better. So I say this because, like, if we have kids, children, friends, family, like, imagine leaving something there, and that's our kid, and we could have potentially changed it. So this little girl comes in, and so you know when the kids would get their bend and touch your toe test with the school nurse? So what's that? I left out. Mom, she goes in, she gets a letter from the school nurse. School nurse sends a letter home with the kid and says, hey, get your kid checked, bring her to the pediatrician. Okay? Now, when this little girl sat in my room, in my office, I have a picture of my little girl up there, and she goes, is Ava your daughter? And I said, yes, she is. And she goes, oh my goodness. She goes, I read to her every day on the bus. And so it was like a really cool like moment. I'm like, oh my goodness, I made this epiphany moment, and sweetest little girl, and so she's 5 years older than my daughter. And so mom brings the kid to the pediatrician. Pediatrician says, yeah, it looks like there's something there, but let's wait and see. If that's your kid, who's cool waiting and seeing? But literally, what other options? If your pediatrician says it, what are you going to do? Most people can wait and see. But if I'm telling you, like if I'm challenging you, you're going to do what? Something different. So mom comes in, knows that waiting and seeing wasn't the answer. So fast forward, this is what we can do with a little kid. Now, is it perfect? No. Is it a hell of a lot better? Yes. Is her life forever going to be changed moving forward? Yes. Still see this young lady. She's an amazing, beautiful young lady. But now I just have to maintain. This is after a few months. It wasn't magic. Now, once, like, this is an adolescent. This is pre-puberty, pre-menstruation. Okay? Female, as soon as menstruation happens, a lot harder to start to change those things because curves can progress quite rapidly. Like research shows, we know with one hormone surge that curve can change 1, 2, 3 degrees in a hormone cycle. It's crazy. That's when scoliosis becomes super advanced really quickly. So anyways, just something like really amazing. We got a kid, loved ones, like, so who's learning something so far? Cool. Everyone except you. I'm kidding. All right, so everyone have this piece of paper. I think for you guys it's yellow. So pre-COVID, what would happen is I would love to get out there and I would love to educate and teach our entire community because I really believe health comes from inside out, not outside in. It's not an outside in job. It's not the next pill, potion, injection that's going to give us health and healing from the outside in. And I really believe if our healthcare system did a way better job of educating and empowering you as individuals, our healthcare system would be in a completely different place. Right? So we used to get out, we used to rely on our people as like foot soldiers to help get this word out, right? And so we would go into works, clubs, groups, organizations, churches, and really get out there and teach people that health comes from within you. We have everything we need to be healthy. But guess what? Some people shut the world down 2 years ago. We can't do it no more. People are afraid. They're inhibited. They're scared. And my job is to give them power. Like, I want to give these people, I want to give people power that everything, like, you got what you need to be healthy and heal. Right? But it's not going to magically happen if you turn on the news and we get depressed and we watch that crap all day. So what I want to do is, hey, if you got that piece of paper, right, everyone take that, your name, and write it in the top right-hand corner. Today's date is what? January, help me, 10, right? Right, January 10th in the top right corner, just so we know what day you came. And what happens, we got, if you know someone, wherever they are in the country, there's a space on the bottom. Go ahead and throw their name down there. It was actually really cool. I just, someone was moving, someone had their son came up to visit the mom and dad from Florida over the Christmas break. And they came here. They wanted their mom and dad wanted to get evaluated, and I just sent it to one of my dear friends. She's in Sarasota. So I have a ton of people all over the place. If you know someone, no matter where they're in the country, write their name and give me a zip or a city. I'll find someone hopefully as close to them as possible. If that person is local, write their name down. Okay, and when the ladies come in later, they will give you a gift certificate on your behalf. You will never ever reach out to that person. Maybe you want help reaching out, but we will never reach out to them. We will communicate with you and give you a gift certificate from you to them to help them if they want a hand getting in here. So, let's go ahead and write anyone's name down that you could potentially think of. And they'll come in, they'll grab that, and they'll speak to you. When the ladies come in, they'll give you a gift certificate, and they'll connect with you on your next visit regarding that. A few things wrapping up, a few things to know. In the beginning, some of us have more repeated care cycles than others. The reason is, like, think about it. Like, change happens in a pretty rapid time, right? We can't want to lose weight and eat broccoli and carrots one day and then eat wings and cupcakes the remaining 6, right? It has to be, health is consistency. Over and over and over again. Adjustments themselves are done pretty quickly. So a lot of you notice, like, I walk in a room, I don't talk a ton because I got your x-rays up there. I try to focus. I'm looking at your x-rays, feeling. If something new pops up, please make sure to let us know. But a lot of times you wonder, like, I'm pretty quiet when I adjust. And that's the reason, because I like to focus and make sure I can deliver the best adjustment each and every time to you. So if I don't talk, never take offense. If you ever need to talk, let us know, or any of my team members. We'll always make sure that we go above and beyond to try to do the best to help you get your question answered. Care is 50-50, right? Like, that always has to be in proportion. You gotta want it just as bad as we want you to get better. Right? If you say you want to get better, you got to back it up with the actions. Make sense? Very important. We can't go and say we want to do better and not put the effort in. Keeping schedule. We got the vid. We got sports, school, life in general. Right? Things pop up. And so we have, like, I made this office super, super flexible. Stuff is going to come up. Stuff is going to prevent you from making an appointment here and there. If you have a 4 o'clock appointment scheduled, you come early, it doesn't mess me up. If you come a little bit late, it doesn't mess us up. You know how our system works now. Make sure you get in. You can call us to change an appointment, or that text reminder that you may have that you get. If you get the text reminder, you can reply right back to that text, and you can say, hey, I forgot, something popped up today at work. Can I come tomorrow at the same time as today? A human will receive that in my office, and then we'll actually write back to you. It's brilliant, right? So we made it very flexible for you guys. The biggest thing is if you're on your schedule, just try to maintain that same schedule going forward. Rehab, if you haven't started that, it starts in the first couple of weeks you care. Healing takes time. I can't stress enough. We are not computers. We are not cars. You can't take an old part out and put a new part in. It doesn't work that way. Tissues take time to heal. Just like if you gashed your elbow wide open, I can bandage it, clean it, and ointment it every single day, but what's the one thing that is required? Time. That tissue needs to repair. Skin tissue takes a couple weeks to repair. Guess what? If we have a nerve issue, that's a couple to a few months. Nerve tissue takes 2 to 3 months to repair and regenerate. It's a long time. So be patient. Reading exams are determined at predetermined intervals for each person based on their needs. And most of the time, at the end of someone's initial care plan, we will take post x-rays. Crazy important we take post x-rays. Why? I want to see 3 things happen. I want to see, if we can, an improvement to the curve of your spine, if possible. Not always possible. Something that's been there for longer is harder, okay? I don't want to see a progression in arthritis. Arthritis, if it's there, I don't want to see it getting worse. Most importantly, if you have subluxations, I want to see a reduction in the number of subluxations. You have 7, I want you to 6 to 5 to 4, 3, 2, 1. My goal is, of course, 0. A lot of people, I'd say a majority of people, we can eventually get to 0. Not everyone is possible, but that's always the goal. I want to see a reduction in the number of subluxations. Once we have that information, I want to be very clear. We're going to give you wellness recommendations. What does wellness mean? It's like a braces, right? Braces come off, what do you get? Retainer, right? Do you want to? I just had a woman come in today due to TMJ, right? She can't wear her retainer anymore because her jaw hurts so dang bad. Well, guess what's happening? What's happening to her teeth? They're shifting back. It sucks. Same thing with her spine. We do all this work to get our spine better. We don't want it to shift back. Right, so I'll give you wellness recommendations. Simple. What do we do to maintain those changes so you don't go back and regress and go back to where we started? So just to recap some of the things we work with, it's TMJ, clipping, popping, grinding the jaw. I work with a lot of oral care providers. The woman that was referred today, her dentist up in North Brantford, sent her here. She said that I'm the only one that she knows that she trusts with the TMJ. I work with a lot of the oral surgeons, oral orthodontists, dentists, just because I know I like to work with that joint. It's one of my favorites. Headaches, migraines, and vertigo. If you have a subluxation nerve that goes around the head, you get a head ache. We got to address the subluxation up there. Low back, sciatica, scoliosis. Primary care doctors. We work with a lot of primary cares and orthodox. Again, they trust us. They trust that we're going to do the right thing. If you're thinking of anybody as we're going through this, perfect time to use that sheet. Arthritis, disc issue, stenosis. Stenosis is an advanced form of arthritis. That's when the spinal cord starts to get encroached down from the bone spurs. So in Chloe, this is the last one, and this is a picture of my little girl. That was taken about 5 years ago, and I put that up there. That's my most favorite picture of her. Like, she looks so, times change. She looks so angelic there. And not so,
She a teenager?
she's getting there. But you get my point. So that's like my favorite picture. And that picture just gives me the butterflies every single time I look at it. And that picture doesn't do it for you. You say, that's cute. That's a great picture. She looks cute in that picture. But it totally changes my physiology when I look at that. And I put that up there because she's not changing your physiology, but I know someone at home does that to you. Whether it's your kid or your grandkid, a spouse, significant other, loved one, child, totally changes and alters your physiology inside. Right? And we look and we say, hey, they're the most important things in our lives. Really, the most important thing is what? Your health. Our health. And we say it all at the wrong time. A year and a half ago, I almost literally lost my mom. Like, my brother, he's an anesthesiologist, he was up at the hospital, he goes, dude, you gotta get up here, we gotta say goodbye to mom. I'm like, what? And we said our goodbyes to mom, and miraculously, by the grace of God, she turns around, she pulls around, she's still alive to this day. But at the time, here's my mom, all her life, she didn't take care of herself. Didn't take care of herself. We go to the funeral, and we say, hey, we leave the funeral, and we say, oh, health is your most important asset, right? Health is, you never know, life is too short. Never take your health for granted, right? And then we say BS and we go to the after party and eat readings, cupcakes, and cannolis afterwards. And you laugh because we know it's true. But health is your most important thing. You ever hear that you can't, the saying that you can't give from an empty cup? Some of you heard it, some of you haven't. Okay, the meaning, what I mean is that, okay, we're all different entities, but you know what? In general, the women, I'm going to stereotype right now because the women will put every single person before themselves before they choose to take care of them. Women, true? Everyone. I see it all the time. And the guys will wait until their leg is literally hanging on by a thread. They're dragging it behind them and they finally come in and say, it's time to take care of myself, right? I can't do anything anymore. We laugh because we know it's true. But the reality is that the old saying is that you cannot give from an empty cup. If you don't take care of you, if your cup is empty, you got nothing to give to them. Relates to women a little bit more than the men, right? Okay, you give and there's nothing to give from, and we can't fulfill their needs. So what I'm trying to express is that health is your number one priority. If you don't fill your cup up, you have nothing to give to these little ones. Right? So with that being said, I hope everybody think about it as we leave. You can't give an empty cup. Make sure you fill you up and take care of you so we can be the best version of ourselves for our loved ones, our kids, our grandkids, and those that are special and close to us. So with that, I hope everyone has a great night. Thank you so much. The girls can come in really quick, and then you guys are out of here.